All right, everyone, welcome back. It's a fresh week of content coming to you here from the glamorous set of the Real Estate Paradox set. My name is Jake Dwyer. I am your host, and this is Finn. He's, he's just a dog, man. He hangs out, he contributes here and there, adds some to the conversation. For those of you who are just die-hard followers of this channel, which is basically no one at this point, I'm going to level with you. We're filming at, what do we got? It is 1:02 p.m. on Monday right now. So if I'm not drinking bourbon like I normally do, it's because it's 1 o'clock on a Monday, and the goal of this channel is not to turn me into an alcoholic. And normally I film these at night, so that's why I can get away with it. So this is just a cheers to you with a little bit of water here. Okay, everyone. So what we're going to do, we're talking a little bit of real estate news today. And what we're going to be talking about, we'll probably do follow-up videos on this, but what we're going to be talking about is the subject of forbearance, okay? And as it relates to COVID. This is a hot topic. And I try to preface everything I do with, hey, especially when it comes to forecasting markets and shit like that, like, hey, look, that is not what I do professionally. I'm boots on the ground. I have a company, 1911 Syndicate. We provide real estate services, and we're agents, and we help people out, right? So I'm not a forecaster of markets. Now, I'm going to keep this relatively broad today, and we'll probably go down the path a little bit further in some upcoming videos on the subject of forbearance. Because right now, the ultimate point to it all is we don't really know, but it's something that we should go ahead and start thinking about a little bit. So let's talk about this a little bit. The big question is, what is going to happen when the COVID forbearance period starts to expire, which is going to begin happening around October 1 of this year, right? So we're pretty close. We're within about 3 months. All right, we got a peaceful dog now. Well, he was already peaceful, but at least he's on the ground and peaceful now. So during the just basic 101 stuff, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, during COVID, so there was a thing called the CARES Act, and under the CARES Act, if you'd been laid off from work, or, basically if you'd been laid off from work, or whatever your circumstances were related to COVID, you couldn't make your mortgage payment, you could apply for forbearance, right? And what forbearance really is it's a pause to making your mortgage payment. Okay, it's not that you just get to not make those payments and they just go away and everyone forgets about them. It's just that, hey, you can press pause and you can deal with the consequences, if you will, of that a little bit later. Now, during COVID, 9 million Americans pressed pause on making their full mortgage payment. There's a lot of complexity to this, right? Which is why I'm going to try to keep it relatively basic, because the reality is, of those 9 million, a lot of those would have still been making partial payments, some making no payments. And in terms of, well, how long could you press pause for? Well, it really depends. When did you apply for the forbearance? When did you say, hey, I've been laid off from my job, I can't make my full payments, and then you were granted with, you talked to your lender and you worked that out, and then they came up with this, hey, look, here's your plan. The main point to all of this, which is just what I want to kind of sneak peek, is the expiration of your forbearance, first of all, depends on when you applied for it. We just said that, right? So ultimately, sort of the first crop of people whose forbearance period is going to end is going to be coming up around October 1 of this year. And it's kind of significant because it presents us with a little bit of unknowns. So if you can, as of October 1, if you can resume paying your mortgage, then you should be good to go. You shouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, again, as mentioned, you can't just say, hey, sucks to be the bank and you missed those 12 months of mortgage payments. They're going to say whatever that particular institution is going to say, hey, whether we add those payments onto the end of your mortgage, right? Or we just say, hey, look, when you sell your house, you have to come current with that. Whatever the case may be, if you were in this boat, you're going to want to talk to your lender about it. This video is not so much to advise you on what you should do if you applied for forbearance. It's mainly just to bring up a point, which is, well, as of this fall, let's just say around October 1, and over the 6-month period roughly after that, when pretty much everyone's forbearance period is going to expire, what happens with the people that can't start making their full mortgage payments again, right? Because there's going to be some people, whether it is still related to COVID, which is hard to imagine. But hey, whatever your circumstances are, if you can't resume making your full mortgage payment, well, what happens to those people? Because again, we had 9 million people that weren't paying their full mortgage payments during COVID. And I think that there was another several 100,000 that weren't paying it, but like could have gotten forbearance, but didn't, something like that. Different story for a different day. But what's going to happen with the housing market as the forbearance period ends? Because there's really a few different things that I think people are wondering. One, are we about to see a ton of foreclosures hit the market? Are we going to see a ton of short sales hit the market? We'll talk about short sales a different time, but essentially, hey, this would be the bank sort of saying, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and sell your house because you can't make your payments. Not really a foreclosure, but think of it like foreclosure light, if you will. And I'm probably going to get roasted for that, but it's a rough terms that we're talking in here. What I think you're more likely to see is people who are going to sell their house before their forbearance period ends, right? So take me, let's just say that during COVID, I couldn't make my payments, and October 1, I got to start making those payments again, but I know I'm not going to be ready to I can't make them as of October 1. What do? I would say, hey, look, instead of me dealing with this problem on October 1, I'm just going to go ahead and sell my house right now because the market's really good, right? It's a great time to sell a house. So I'm going to go ahead and sell my house now and not have to deal with the implications of what happens when forbearance ends. So this is not really a prediction forecast video of any time, but it's just kind of an initial conversation on this. What I think we could start to see over the next 2 and 3 months is a little bit of increase in inventory, because there's going to be some people that come in this fall, they're not ready to start making that mortgage payment. So let's go ahead and cash in my chips right now. Now, of course, if you were to sell your house now and you haven't been making your payments for the last 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it might be, of course, you're going to have to come current on that. You can't just say, hey, thanks for the free 12 months worth of my mortgage. No, you're still going to have to pay that off at closing when you sell your house. But hey, look, in theory, could see a little bit of influx in inventory because people know they got to start paying their payments and they might not be ready to do that. And then sort of the big wild card, hey, look, are we going to see a bunch of short sales foreclosures? I don't really think so, because if I was a seller and I knew that I wasn't prepared, 100% I would be saying right here, right now, because we're about 2.5 months out from October, I'd be saying, yo, I need to sell my house like stat. Like I need to be talking to an agent now and getting this house listed. That way I don't have to deal with not making payments when I am supposed to be making payments, versus right now they can be forgiven or kind of postponed to a future date. So, hey, look, it's a rough framework of the conversation. Ultimately, it's one of those situations where time will tell. We don't really know yet. We just need a little bit more time, right? But like, you guys get the framework of the conversation. And as we go, we'll keep you more up to date as we start hitting the fall and late summer months and things like that. So that said, pretty short video today, everyone. One thing we're going to do is we're going to try to make topics and videos that are based on what you guys would like to see. So anytime you watch these, if you have subject matter that you really would like to see on the channel, comment below. We do, it's just, hey, it's social media. So part of the point is that we produce media and then we be social around it. So if you would like to get in the comments and request things for us to talk about, we are happy to accommodate that, as long as it's a topic that is worthwhile talking about. So feel free to chime in. We'll do our best to accommodate that. If you guys need real estate help, you can go to 1911syndicate.com. That's my baby. That's sort of my baby passion project that I started a few years ago. We help a lot of military, law enforcement, and hunters, shooters, outdoorsmen, stuff like that. But we will help you and your grandma as well. Beyond that, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys have a good week. Stay lit. Stay in school, kids.